Bosh, that warns to the apostles and those who make real stories real well. That peace and much love, honors, and blessings, salutations to the elect of Yahweh Bosh and Shai, which hold their kind of composure and integrity, standing, believing firmly and fast, resolutely to the name of the Heavenly Father Yahweh and His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, who the world in England would call God, and Yahweh Shai, who the world in England would call Jesus Christ. Nevertheless, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai are the true names, and they are the only names. And those names were given to the nation of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latino, Native American Indians, whom the Heavenly Father and the Son are going to come back and save. But in this time, a choice select, known as the elect, all right, and the rest are going to be destroyed alongside with all wicked inhabitants, all right. But the elect praise and extol the name of the Heavenly Father and the Son, always and will forever. Call Halayim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. All right, now the reason why I'm bringing this out, and as the lesson is titled, we keep telling you never trust thine enemy. I was on the internet a little bit ago, and an article came up, concerning that incident in Minnesota, where 2 Americans, all right, were killed while ICE was trying to, do their thing to Issachar, being wicked as hell, Esau being a devil. That's how you would say it. He's an arch rival or arch nemesis, something, but he's definitely the enemy to the nation of Israel. When you go into the scriptures, that's why you got so much chaos and contention and hatred on the behalf of this, which really it's from the so-called white man where the hate really comes from. Israel, as you see, has always tried to amend or be brotherly to the so-called white man, but the so-called white man has always hated the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians. And this goes back to a righteous and wicked rivalry and hatred and disagreement, I'll say. Because the righteous, going back, let's just go back to Jacob and Esau. When you go into the scriptures, it describes Jacob, which is what you Israelites are. We come from the loins of Jacob, which his name was changed to Israel. He was surnamed Israel after he wrestled the angel, all right, there on Mount Peniel, right? And he was given a name, all right, that, because Jacob, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh, which means to supplant, he had been wrestling an actual angel the entire night, and the ball of his joint was out of his leg. So this, basically he dislocated his leg and he was still able to keep up with this angel. Esau can't do that shit. All right, Esau has to use, inanimate objects to help him with his strength, because he don't believe in spirituality. All right, that's where you get the ultimate atheist, attitude from, is from Esau. Because the scriptures say that the fool has said it within his heart that there's no God, and that's Esau, the so-called white man, all the way. He don't believe in God. All right, he believes in Satan. That's his God if he wants to believe in a God. But Esau, the so-called white man, doesn't believe in Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. That's why he calls them out of their name. That's why he calls Yahweh God and he calls Yahweh Shai Jesus Christ. But you already know through history, that he manipulated and turned those images ultimately to where people are worshiping him, because Esau sees himself as a god. All right, he's got what's called a God complex. That's why he makes his own laws, his own technology, his own system, so that people have to listen to what he says. That's a God complex. He's the rule maker, the lawmaker, and all, the prescriber. All right, that's what it means to be an author. That's why he'll say, under my authority, authority, Authorization means to write and to prescribe, basically. It means, to write law. So yeah, this devil definitely believes himself to be a god. But everything I'm telling you, going back to Jacob and Esau, right? It described Jacob when Jacob and Esau were born, back in the book of Genesis, 25th, 26th chapter. It said that Jacob was a plain man. When you go into that word plain, I mean, yeah, you could say that we're plain people. We just like to chill, which makes a person plain. It makes a person who likes to chill plain. We ain't doing too much. We ain't doing some weird shit, new shit, miraculous shit. We're just chilling. We're enjoying ourselves. But the actual word plain goes into being an upright man, essentially perfect. And we understand that Jacob, ultimately, our people, our nation, out of the loins of Jacob, we are going to be perfect. We're going to be made perfect in the grand scheme of all things once this kingdom has been destroyed. All right? But so it said that Esau, all right, first of all, he ain't perfect. So if you're not perfect, then you're imperfect. So you lack. Okay? Now the reason why, just bear with me while I'm saying with this, man. The reason why you're wicked is because you lack understanding. Esau was made to lack understanding. He's perfect in knowing wickedness, but the scriptures tell you that to know wickedness is not righteousness. All right, that's in the book of Sirach, roughly paraphrased. But so, even going back to the beginning, with Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, jump to Esau and Jacob and Esau. All right, this hatred that's been there from the beginning, this rivalry, all right, has been since the beginning of time. You look at Adam and Eve, but then it said that afterwards that there should be enmity between the woman and thy seed, or between the serpent seed and the woman. And we understand that to be talking about ultimately the nation of Israel and Esau in the end, because we always bring out, how could a serpent have the seed of a man? All right, it's talking about a person. That's how we know the serpent was talking about an actual person, which later came out to be Esau. Started with Cain and Esau. All right, but the woman would be Israel, and that is pursuant to Jeremiah 6:2. where it said that I have likened the daughter of Zion as unto a comely and delicate woman. That's so together, right? Get at. And when I brought out, when I got it from NBC News, it said that Trump administration to withdraw 700 immigration agents from Minnesota. Now, what it seems as if there's a drawback, right? Trump is dialing it down. There's unrest and frustration from the American people, but it doesn't say that this is because that they're drawing these agents back because of the so-called blacks having an issue with it, or the so-called Mexicans having an issue with it, the so-called Native American American Indians having an issue with it. No, it's because the whites, the white Americans, are having an issue with these 2 U.S. citizens that were killed in the crossfire of trying to detain and deport illegal immigrants. You'll have our people be simple and think, oh, Trump is, trying to amend, and we're okay. You're right. We're, tempers are hot. What the Frenchmen say? Everybody calm down. I realize passions are high. From Django. But the passion is coming from the American people. And Trump's trying to appease the American people. But we also know, never trust thine enemy. And that's what I'm trying to get at, because you read that title, and even I was looking at it before I read the article, I was like, huh. Because, look, the devil can't bring nothing good, man. He never does anything. He can never do anything good. All right? That's supported by Jeremiah 13:23, Sirach 14:7. All right? Certain other accounts in history where an Edomite seemed to have came in the name of peace, or he drew back his wrath, and people, the the anger, the flares of civil unrest kind of dialed down. But then what would happen right after? This devil would get on his rampage again and continue his bullshit. You know, Trump, we already believe in it, man, that the Lord is heavily working through him to bring in, you know, what we need brought to bring the fall of his kingdom. You know, the apostles making lessons about the chip, and we don't ever stop talking about the chip, the RFID chip. But we've learned over the years, as men in this ministry, we've learned how to understand our enemy. All right. First of all, the scriptures help enforce and reinforce that and clarify that heavily, because we understand that the so-called white man is in rulership today. He's the border of wickedness. He is the wicked. He is the devil. So if he is the devil and he's never been called anything otherwise, then we know never to trust a devil, because the word devil goes back to the Latin word diablos, which means a liar or a deceiver. And if this man has been named the personification of a liar and a deceiver and a wicked doer, then you cannot expect this man to be any short of it. We know that this devil he's never kept his hands off of any tactic or strategy or action to, you know, spare anger or wrath against the Israelites ever. He's never done that. All right, it tells you that with Antiochus Epiphanes, which is the same behavior and attitude, and I guess that's just the two things. But you know, a devil that ever ruled and never turned their anger towards the nation of Israel was never kind about it. So withdrawing 700 immigration agents from Minnesota, okay, cool. Don't get lost in the sauce with it, man. Don't be thinking, oh, this devil's trying to amend. He's trying to, you know, like I said, cool out, cool down. Fuck that, man. This devil is never going to be like that. We are at the end. And this devil knows that he has a short time. So what does it tell you in Revelation, the 12th chapter? All right, it tells you that woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea. It says, for the devil will come down unto you with great wrath, because he knoweth he had but a short time. So don't be expecting this devil to be cool or calming down. This is the motherfucking wicked. This is all you know, to diffuse and deceive. I know there's a word for it, man. But you know, with the diffusing technique, there's a word behind. There's another term you can use to show that it's fake. It's a charade, you know. Trump withdrawing 700 immigrants from Minnesota doesn't mean shit, okay? Because he's made it known, he's made it plain in other areas, in other talks, that he's going to keep on going with this shit. So let me go to read this in the article from NBC News. It said that the Trump administration will withdraw 700 federal immigration agents from Minnesota. Minnesota border Caesar Tom Homan said Wednesday. It said the move comes weeks after agents killed 2 U.S. citizens, sparking protests against the country. Nigga said, my goal with the support of President Trump is to achieve a complete drawdown and end this surge as soon as we can. So that sounds like, oh, you know, this is the devil crouching. That's what it is. To you Israelites, you got to understand, it's just the devil crouching. All right? Anytime a liar, all right, especially Esau, says these words of, oh, I'm going to calm down, I'm going to, you know, chill out. All right, fine, I'll chill out. That's never a good thing. Esau has the behavior and attitude of a spoiled ass, bratty ass child. And how does man? I've seen spoiled, bratty ass white kids, man. I've seen them. And there's one I think about all the time that I seen years back. You know, I watched his grandparents or whatever take away his tablet, and this kid had a fucking meltdown, bro. I'm telling you, this kid was screaming. He started banging his head on the table. He was crying like a little bitch. And this dude was manifesting demons. This kid, man. And you know, these the two grandparents or whatever, you know, just let it happen. And everybody was looking at this shit like, you know, you know how society is. Guarantee if that grandfather would have picked that kid up by the fucking neck or the head or the hair and smacked his ass, everybody would be like, oh my God, bro, look what you bred though. Look what you allowed to become of this child. You know, when he got his tablet or whatever, I think it was an iPad or a tablet, what, with Denmark, but Trump had said, I don't want to use force, you know? Yeah, you do. And then you drew back because, you know, you want to act like you're the civil person, but it's all a sham. It's all what do you call that? It's an act. Esau's always been an actor, man. Always. You know, it said that he would come in peace, but all within was deceit. I know the scriptures talk about in Psalms himself, but had 7 abominations within him. You know, that's Esau, man. He'll crouch, like the scriptures say in Sirach, the 12th chapter. He'll crouch. He'll go crouching. But you got to also factor in other scriptures, like the Psalms, the 10th chapter. He'll crouch, but he's lurking. He ain't humbling himself. He ain't never gonna humble himself. It's because he's lurking. He's crouching, getting ready to pounce and attack and kill and devour. All right, just because this dude is drawing back this and that doesn't mean it's for your good still. All right, so this article actually says it. It said, my goal with the support of President Trump is to achieve, hold on, let me make sure that, you know, device is too hot. I don't care. Hold on. It should be good. All right, let's keep on going. Let me make this thing cool. So point, it says he reiterated that immigration efforts would continue and that agents would not solely target undocumented criminals. How the fuck you know they criminals, bro? Why are you calling them criminals? You are, woo. Anyways, Salakia, man. He reiterated that immigration efforts would continue and that agents would not solely target undocumented criminals. If you're in the country illegally, you are not off the table, Hammond said. He said, let me be clear. President Trump fully intends to achieve mass deportations during his administration, and immigration enforcement actions will continue every day throughout the county jails and federal immigration officials, making it easier for immigration authorities to apprehend targets. Hammond asked for such cooperation from state and local authorities over the last week. Said this is smarter enforcement, not less enforcement, he said. So, you know, you try to be sneakier. I ain't hearing smarter, I'm hearing sneaky. All right? He said, adding that local authorities will not be conducting immigration enforcement. So, again, you know, going back to Sirach, okay, let me go and get that precept. Going back to Sirach chapter 12, verse 10, it says, never trust thine enemy. Like I said, the video, the title is we keep telling you never trust thy enemy, man. Ain't nothing gonna get better. All right, there are people, you people, whoever you are that scoffs, you know, you do it because it ain't touched you yet. And this presents normalcy bias within you, that mentality. But very soon, man, it's gonna touch everybody. And that's why I said we keep telling you, man, not to trust an enemy, because this has nothing to do with just the so-called, or with these so-called illegal immigrants. All right, this is a what do you call it? A test. You know, they want to defend our people. You know, like leave us alone, like leave us the fuck alone. Because people are also, that's another thing. People are questioning, like, why the fuck are we always messing with these people, man? Why do we hate them so much? I mean, the devil's gonna ask, but not really give a shit. But at the same time, it's still a question. Why is the government so goddamn concerned with our people? You know? And first of all, too, man, it takes hard chemicals in this time to get away rust. You know, industrial grade type of chemicals to get that shit away. And if it wasn't for those chemicals, you wouldn't be able to get that rust off. In fact, you would have to cut that rust away. You would have to grind it away, okay? Which Esau doesn't do that with himself, man. He don't cut out the bad parts of his people, man, which that would mean he would have to he would have to kill his entire nation off and himself. But he won't do that. So as long as the rust is around, another thing about rust is it spreads. All right, it'll spread. All right. You know, and this time you can, you know, put a coating around it and, you know, incorporate other alloys or metals with it to, you know, keep away that rust and what have you. But, you know, you can't rust inhibit everything, man. And rust inhibitor only works for so long too. All right, things go down, snap, crack, whatever. So it's a never-ending process of trying to get that rust out. In this case with Esau, yeah, the Lord, that's why the Lord has to come back and turn this entire place upside down and sweep the fuck out of it with a besom of destruction, because that's the sure way of getting all that rust away. This devil man has been rusting, infecting this place, you know, and only to just, you know, put our people at a demise to keep us there forever. It says, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble in himself and go with crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So we know he's the same devil. Ain't nothing changed about him. Esau ain't gonna stop doing what he's doing. All right, and he even said it. Trump intends to keep it going every day as he's been. So just something to put out there, man. Like, ain't nothing changing about this devil. And he's going to be the devil to the very end until the Lord takes him out. So, you know, with that, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. It's lucky that I made it kind of fast. Like, you know, I got to get to an appointment, and I wanted to make sure to kind of get a good lesson in before I ended. So, but I did, you know, say a lot of what I would, you know, what I wanted to say. Lord went into the spirit. It was edifying. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great wisdom which rule well. Peace and much love, honors and blessings to the elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai, which hold their conduct, composure, and integrity. To the next one I say, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai, broken thumb. Kwame Shalom, Shalom, the water for tuning in, Shalom.